There are some mysteries out there that are just deeply unsettling. We're going to dive into a few of those today. We're talking about cases that really defy any easy explanation, where that line between what we know and what we don't know just completely dissolves.
So, look, people go missing every single day. It's a tragic fact of life. And most of the time, there are answers. There's a reason, some kind of trail to follow?
But then there are the other cases, the ones we're talking about. These are the outliers, right? The ones that just haunt investigators and families for, decades, because it feels like the normal rules of reality just don't apply.
Think about it. There are just no clues. No evidence, not a single witness, no physical trace left behind.
And absolutely no explanation. It's just a void. A person is there one moment, and the very next, it's like they've been completely, totally erased from the world.
Okay, so that brings us to our first case file. This is probably the most famous group disappearance in history. We're talking about the vanishing of Flight 19, the Lost Patrol. All right, so picture this. It's December 5th, 1945. 5 U.S. Navy bombers take off from Florida for what's supposed to be a totally routine training flight. But about 90 minutes in, things start to go wrong. The flight leader radios in, and he sounds confused. He says both of his compasses are shot. They're not working. He thinks he's over the Florida Keys, but air traffic control is looking at their data, and they're like, no, you're not. The radio contact gets more and more choppy, and then just silence. And if that's not crazy enough, later that night, a search plane sent to go look for them, it vanishes too.
And listen, this wasn't just one rookie pilot getting caught in a storm or something. We're talking about 5, count 'em, 5 separate planes with a total of 14 experienced airmen on board. And the weather? Perfectly clear. Conditions were literally ideal, which just makes the whole thing even more baffling.
So they launched one of the biggest air and sea searches in history, right? And you know what they found? Absolutely nothing. Nothing. No oil slicks, no pieces of wreckage, no life rafts, not a single trace. The official Navy report chalked it up to pilot error, but with zero physical evidence, that's just a guess, isn't it? In the end, 6 aircraft and 27 men were just wiped off the face of the earth. It's an absolute total mystery.
All right, so our next case file takes us from a group mystery at sea to a single lone man in the sky. Let's talk about the legend of D.B. Cooper, the ghost hijacker. This story is straight out of a Hollywood movie. It's in 1971, and this guy, he just calmly hijacks a Boeing 727. He tells them he has a bomb, and he demands $200,000 and 4 parachutes. And they give it to him. He gets exactly what he wants. Then he tells the pilot to fly low and slow, and somewhere over the crazy rugged wilderness of the Pacific Northwest, he lowers the rear stairs of the plane and just jumps out into the freezing cold night.
And what happened next? A complete and total blank. The FBI launched one of the longest, most exhaustive investigations they've ever done, and they found nothing. No body, no parachute, not a single trace of the man himself. It's like he didn't just escape, he just ceased to exist.
So from these really specific, infamous cases, let's zoom out for a second. Because when you do, you start to see this deeply, deeply unsettling pattern. Some people have called it the park enigma, these really strange and baffling disappearances that happen in our national parks.
And we're not just talking about, some tourist who gets lost off the trail. The people who disappear are often experts, seasoned hikers who know the terrain like the back of their hand. Or, and this is the really scary part, it's young kids who vanish from right beside their families in the blink of an eye. The circumstances are just so bizarre, and they defy all the simple explanations like, oh, it was an animal attack, or they just wandered off.
And so the search and rescue teams come in, right? These are some of the best in the world, and they find, you guessed it, nothing. No trail to follow. A lot of the time, the search dogs can't even pick up a scent. It's as if the person was just plucked from the very spot they were last seen. It's just this impossible blank over and over again.
So, when you start to put all these cases together, Flight 19, D.B. Cooper, all these strange disappearances in our parks, you start to arrive at a pretty dark realization.
Because the real mystery here, it isn't just what happened or where they went, it's how. How can a person or an entire crew of airmen be so completely and so instantly just removed from existence without leaving a single shred of evidence behind?
Really, it leaves you with two ways to look at all of this. On one hand, there's the rational explanation. These are all just tragic, totally unrelated coincidences. And there are logical explanations, we just haven't found them yet. But then there's the other way to look at it. The idea that maybe something else is at play here, that maybe these impossible disappearances are all connected by some kind of phenomenon that we just don't have the science or the understanding to grasp yet.
And whatever that something else might be, it has one thing in common across every single one of these cases. It is perfectly efficient. It leaves absolutely no trace.
Which really forces you to ask the ultimate question, doesn't it? If people can be here one second and just gone the next with literally no evidence left behind, what in the world really happened to them?
It's a really chilling thought to end on. But you have to consider it. Maybe these aren't just stories about people who got lost. Maybe they're stories about people who were taken, removed, by something that ensures they will always, always remain